travel opens up your mind. I mean, so definitely,
Absolutely.
So do you like traveling once a year? I mean, do you do anything else?
Yeah, I love traveling. And then one of the things that I love is hiking and spending time in Austin and kayaking. And, I don't do any mountain climbing per se, but I live for adventure. I live for anything that has to do outdoors.
Sedona, Arizona too?
Yes, I love Sedona.
You hike that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, good. Tell us something, tell people who are listening to you or watching us on YouTube right now. I mean, any kind of message you have for some aspiring entrepreneurs who have thought about, I want to start something, but been afraid, been scared, have procrastinated of doing it now. I mean, do you have any kind of message for them?
Yes. Persistence, perseverance, resistance, and endurance.
Okay.
I want to kind of touch on all of those things because
touch on it for us, would you?
Yeah, because I deal with a lot of business owners that come and seek out advice for social behavior, and I can always tell the ones that are gonna be in it for a long time and the ones that are gonna quit 3 months in. Yeah. You can tell that because they have certain behaviors. They're kind of intolerant to resistance. They're kind of intolerant to you telling them something that they're doing isn't right. And so if you can't be coachable,
big challenge on that.
Right. And if you can't be coachable and you can't, tell me, kind of endure that criticism and the shutdowns, I would say for every 10 clients that I approach or every 10 doors that I knock on, maybe one will open. But people really think that the way that we're showing it on social media, Sammy, I think we're doing them a disservice because we're making it look so easy. And that's one thing that I really tell entrepreneurs, like, this isn't easy. As a matter of fact, I don't know what possessed us to want to be here, but I know that this gives me life. And the need for me to make impact and create impact in my community keeps feeding my soul. And this is why I keep doing what I do. But it is crazy to go. You got to be a little bit crazy and a little bit weird to want to start a business because you will face more rejection and more resistance than ever. But you have to be able to endure and you have to persevere and you have to be persistent and wake up every single day and do work harder than you did the day before. Yeah.
So now let me ask you, sometimes people fail and, I don't know who said it, but, defeats come in life, but never allow yourself to be defeated. Something like that. I'm not, but everybody gets a defeat. Everybody faces defeat, but as long as you don't allow yourself to be defeated. And I mean, it was pretty good. And in a sense that I know a lot of people face failures and then they shut down, especially when you're in a business and you're starting and you face some kind of setback and you shut down and you don't want to go back to work and, like you said, persevere or, resistant or whatever. Have you faced any failures that made you say, you know what, I don't want to do this no more?
Absolutely. So that's all ego, right? The fear of failure is your ego because you can't fail. You can't let people see. I'm not afraid to tell you that I started my first business, and my first business was in South Florida, and I totally miserably, under all circumstances, failed. Was the business concept a good idea? Yes. Was the business successful? Yes. But I wasn't, prepared to deal with the quote failure. Now I see failure as an opportunity. Every day I want to fail because I learn from those lessons and I learned that how to solve a problem. And that makes me wiser and more equipped to deal with failures. The failures that I faced 5 years ago starting this business are not the ones that I'm facing now. I face much bigger failures now, much bigger problems, but they're great because they're all tools for me to use as a solution, as an opportunity to solve a problem. And that's what one of the things that Tony Robbins teaches is every problem, every failure should be looked at as an opportunity. You can turn that around to work in your favor. But if you sulk in it and you think, oh no, this is it. After all I've been through, like, it's going to take a major failure to actually get in my way.
So anything you can tell people who are, want to start their business but are scared of failure? scared of setbacks, scared of what people are going to think about them. Your mom told you, no, don't start your business. You're letting go of 401k and stuff. And there's a lot of people who, whose parents, and they're listening to people outside, the outside voices. What would you say? What would you say to them?
And a lot of people are shocked to hear that my mom said that, because she's owned her insurance agency for 20 plus years. She just didn't want me to endure the hardships that she went through as a female business owner. So I would actually tell people to go into it like you're going to fail. Just have a plan B, have a backup. I always tell people that there's no way to avoid the failure. There is a very serious risk, but if you look at me 5-6 years ago when I started this, I'm a completely different person, because I've become stronger, and I've lost that fear of rejection and failure, because I might fail, but I'm not afraid to fail.
Now you said, your mom was scared of you because female business women. And, that's my next question. Even though it's 2020, we still live in that world, where female entrepreneur or female business person is looked at a different way. What kind of challenges did you face?
Oh my God. So when I started my business, a lot of people used to ask me, who's the owner? Who's the owner? And I'm like, I'm right here. And I think that we've faced a lot of those challenges. And I think, I was part of that boss babe movement, boss lady. Yes, I'm all for that. But you know what? We need to kind of just even out the playing field. Everybody wins. Everybody eats. Yes, we are a female powered agency, which is really appealing to the people that we work with, especially the women business owners. They come to me because they feel like we're going to have a deeper emotional or mental connection, because we're both female entrepreneurs. And so we do work with a lot of female business owners, and I'm blessed by that, because they found a resource and a voice to connect with in me and my team. But, I think that we need to kind of just level out the playing field. We're past that, where like women are challenged. If we're an entrepreneur or if we're business owners, everybody needs to eat. Everybody needs to. So
how do you handle that?
To be equal.
How do you handle some of the challenges? Because and I hate to say that, and that's I had find these ladies on my podcast. They Susan Mobley and Jennifer Eder, and they host this show called Find Her Seat. And I'm like, I love it what you do, because I have 2 daughters, and I want to live in the world where women are looked at equally, But unfortunately, there are people who don't look at women equally. Mm-hmm. So how do you, when you come through the challenge and someone is not giving you the credibility or not giving you enough opportunity, how do you get yourself together for that?
Yeah. I stopped objectifying that. Like, if that's the way you think, I got to move you out of my way. I can't even let you stop me. Yeah.
On to the next one.
Yeah.
That's a good way to do it. Mm-hmm. Forget about them.
You can't give it attention.
They're backward mentality.
Exactly.
They're lost.
Exactly. And I do think that because we're giving women this platform to succeed, and we are being more aware that this is an issue. We're so far from where we were 6 years ago in terms of women equality and all of that. But because we're giving women this platform, I definitely think more women they've lost that fear of failure, and now they're rising up to the challenge. Yeah. And therefore, I think that's why we have a lot more female players in the world than we ever did.
So what is this boss lady? I see this all the time on Instagram. Boss lady, boss mom, boss babe movement. What's going on with that? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so that was a platform that was created. A Boss Babe is, if you look at that Instagram page or any of those Instagram profiles that kind of empower women to get out of their comfort zone, go on and start their own business. Those pages were started as a platform for women to go to as a resource for inspiration and encouragement and motivation. And that's just become kind of a saying. So I've definitely used that tag all the time. # boss babe, boss lady. It just means like,
boss
we're
babe movement, all
empowering
that
one
stuff.
another. Yeah, to just kind of take charge.
Who came up with? Do you know anybody? Do you know the person who came up with that?
I don't know the founding
Person who came up with boss babe,
No,
boss
I don't
mom.
know. Yeah,
No.
no, I don't know. But
What?
there's so many of those pages. I
So
follow
many
a lot
huh?
of them. Yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
good. I mean, that's empowering women.
I will tell.
Do they fight over? I came up with that name. I came up with that name.
I don't think that they do. I think that
Or you don't know about it, or not publicly.
there is one page. There is one page that is verified as the initiator of all that. I'll show.
Really?
I don't know the
Has a
page
blue
name.
check on it. Blue check mark.
Yeah, I'll show it to you.
How do you get that blue check mark?
The verified status. So you have to request it, right? So you send in your ID.
Yeah, but I mean I know that, but I mean
Yeah. So, well, you request it, and what they do is they go through a verification process of all of your accolades, and basically how often are you referenced in the media? Are you substantial enough to have a blue check mark by you? Are you worth giving a blue check mark to? And that's determined by how often you're mentioned in the media and the press.
I think I'm going to try that.
Yeah.
Let's see if I'm
Just, you know what? Go out and do something totally
something
crazy
crazy. Yeah.
and go viral or
go viral.
yeah, go viral.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go do something really crazy and let the TV stations watch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Tip off the news before
Tip
you
off
do
the
it,
news,
and then boom, you just become a media star. Then you get the blue check.
So let me ask you a question. Do you ever think about something like, what, people should ask me this question, but nobody ever asked Karen this? What question will that be, Karen?
Man, that's a tough one. I think a lot of people just think that maybe this is like my first business, and I kind of skipped over that when I was telling you about my trajectory in working corporate and merging off into my own thing. But I think a lot of people don't ask if this is my first business, and I would love to share more about like my first failure.
What was your first failure?
Yeah, so my first business started with a physical transformation that I went through 15 years ago, where I changed my lifestyle and I changed the way I ate, my habits, and I lost a lot of weight. So I lost cumulatively about 60 pounds from the time I was in high school to now. And I kept the weight off, and I've just eaten healthy over the last 15 years since I did that. So my first company, really, I wanted to channel that part of my life, my history, which was Sobe Fit Food. So it was the first meal prep delivery company in South Florida. I like to be first, in case you haven't noticed that. Like, we were one of the first social media agencies in Houston. So I went out and I set out to do something that I thought was great. I brought on a chef partner who was a personal trainer to celebrities in South Florida. I was already living there with the tequila company. So I was like, oh, this is kind of just perfect. And I'm going to do it in South Beach. And it was called Sobe Fit. So I started that, but I did not have the knowledge about budgets, about budget planning, about strategy, and the company just got way bigger than my eyeballs, to where I'm starting out servicing a couple of clients here a week, making their meals, because this is the food that I ate to lose weight. And all of a sudden I have 17 people in my kitchen doing 1,000 units of food a day.
Wow.
And so not having the right financial resources and the right capital, and not being mentally sane to deal with that, and it just totally overtook me. It got bigger than me, and it was a great problem to have at the time, but I didn't have the resources to kind of, put out that fire.
Yeah.
And
matter of fact, I was listening to Damon John's podcast yesterday on NPR while I was running, and that's something that he said, that he got $300,000 worth of orders the first time he went to the show, and he wasn't even showing at the show. He had his his clothes were on the bed at the Mirage Hotel, and he brought people from the show, from the magic show, to the Mirage Hotel, and he got $300,000 worth of orders. And next thing you know, they couldn't even manufacture them, and only was able to deliver 75,000 of them.
Wow.
$75,000, and he was 6 months late, and vendors were the his customers were getting mad
Yeah.
at him, and his mom gave him an advice of a strategic partner. And a lot of people, they go in business not knowing what to do, and sometimes, and when I started in business, heck, I didn't know what cash flow meant.
Right.
I didn't know what a budgeting means. I didn't know how was I gonna come up with to make sure the rent gets paid. I was so eager to start my business that I'm like, I got it. I got this.
Me too.
And I'm sure that you did the same thing. And lack of information and lack of knowledge sometimes is not good, and especially for aspiring entrepreneurs, people who want to start their own business. I would say that they should take some classes, learn some, have some kind of knowledge.
Absolutely.
What do you think about that?
Well, going back to what you said about failing and Damon John, working out of his unit, I was ill prepared too for that part of my business, but not only on the business finances, on the personal finances. So I'm using my personal finances to cover and float my business because I didn't have a strategic partner or a money guy or a floater, and what ended up happening, Sammy, was that on the worst day of my life, I'll never forget it. I was already overworked, tired, exhausted, just working in the kitchen till 3-5 in the morning, putting out orders. And on the worst day, I remember I was late on my rent and I hadn't paid my car. And so my roommate in Miami said, you got to leave the apartment. So he's evicting me. And I'm literally looking out the window and my car is getting repossessed at the same time I'm getting evicted. Oh. And that was a really hard pill to swallow. I still get emotional just talking about it because I literally am trying to make this business happen so much that I started missing out on personal payments because I had to float my own business. And that was a really trying time. That was kind of nearing the end. And I was just totally suicidal, just depressed, anxious. And I did not know how to cope. And so that's kind of what set me back in with social behavior. I really planned it. I planned it for 6 months before I even turned it on and said, all right, we're doing this.
And seeing you 6 years later, still in business, successful, now in 6 years later, taking some time, having some discipline, knowing, planning, that should be a message to these people who want to be entrepreneurs who just, experience a setback or a failure that, hey, you know what? It's okay. Keep going. Mm-hmm. You can succeed the next time. Matter of fact, when I was a little kid and we used to go to this, I was in school, and behind our report card, there used to be a poem. It was called Try Again. Yeah. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
No.
And it says, if at first you don't succeed, try again. Uh-huh. And it's a famous poem. I don't remember who it's from, but I mean, but and I've always thought about that since I was a little kid. I mean, second grader, first grader, because we used to read that poem every time it used to come on the progress report, and it said, if at first you don't succeed, try again. If you fail again, try again. And if you fail again, try again yeah. till you succeed.
Oh, I love that.
And I mean, and I might not be saying in the same order, but it's a famous poem. You should definitely Google it. And I mean, that's one thing that I remember. So, you trying again and going back to in business is courageous, and I admire mm-hmm. you for that. And
mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, I salute you. My hat down.
Thank you.
I tip my hat to you, because a lot of people will just crumble and go into their shell and
right.
will never do that and say, right. You know what, maybe that's not for me. Maybe I need to get a job, corporate world or whatever. And even people who have work, who work for somebody, sometimes they experience a setback and they quit their job and go into the shell and go down. So you know what? I mean, I can't say enough about that.
Right. If you look at all the stories of success of professional athletes, Olympians, they share their stories of success that were pioneered by a major setback, a major failure. They're accomplishing the most because they had that as their, the vessel that fueled them to get to this next level. And that was it for me. I had to let go of the fear of failure. I had to let go of all of that, and just kind of that setback put me to where I needed to think better and learn the lessons from that and not go into this business with that.
Gotcha. So earlier you quoted, Tony Robbins. I love Tony Robbins, by the way.
Me too.
In social media, since you're in social media, is there anybody famous that you aspire? I mean, that inspires you?
Yes. So Tony is it for me. And I've been listening to him and following his teachings. He's not a motivational speaker. I hate it when people call him that. He is a thought leader. He teaches you how to change your
He's
thoughts.
He's a mastermind.
Right.
teacher.
How to change your thoughts. If you see it in your thoughts, like I meditated and I did some visualization exercises this morning. And so I had to visualize myself like scuba diving because I want to do that. Right. And so don't be surprised if like in a few months I'm scuba certified and I'm scuba diving off the coast of, Hawaii because I'm visualizing that
So
daily.
you want me to tell you something? And it's funny, right? So I'm talking to somebody on this past Thursday.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this one famous guy. His name is Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yes.
I don't know if you know who Gary
Yes.
is. So I'm talking to this guy and I'm like, I saw, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, about Gary Vee. I'm like, and he's like, have you ever met him? I said, no, but I tell you what, when I see him somewhere, I'm going to go over there. I'm going to talk to that guy. And he said, really? And he said, well, when do you think, he's like, why don't you just go to one of his shows? I'm not going to go to one of his shows. I'm like, I hope I'll catch him in the streets one day because I want to talk to him.
Yeah.
A day later, I'm in Vegas.
Yeah.
And I'm playing blackjack, and I see this guy across the hallway at the at the coffee shop, and I'm like, damn, that looks like Gary Vaynerchuk. So I tell the dealer, hold it. I walk over there, and I ignore everybody who's right there.
Yeah.
And I grab his arm, and I say, hey, man, I love you. I said, let me tell you what. I said, I've been DMing you and you don't answer my DMs. And I said, you told people that you answer your DMs. He's like, dude, I fucking get 10,000 DMs a day, bro.
I know.
And I said, well, it doesn't matter. I said, well, I'm here now. So me and you going to talk right now. And this guy was so nice and so humble. He turned around and he talked to me for a little bit. And I'm like, and he's like, well, tell me your story. So I told him my story. And I'm like, honestly, like, and I mean, he gets very redundant what he talks about. So I don't listen to him all the time, but I like what he's saying, and he has so much passion.
Right.
And, he curses a lot.
Right.
So do I. But I don't do it on social platforms that much. But I'm like, every time I've looked at Gary, and it's just like I'm like, you know what? If he can do it, I can do it too.
Absolutely.
And I mean, he has gotten a really great platform that he talks about, and talk about manifestation, talk about, when you imagine yourself.
You that.
Yeah, you did. You sent me that. And I'm like, talk about when you visualize yourself as that thing. And when you visualize, like you saying Tony Robbins,
Right.
And I listen to Tony all the time. I mean, and Tony talks about change happens all the time. It's about progress, right?
Right.
So day changes, weather changes, climate changes.
Yeah.
It's your weight changes, your body changes. It's about the progress that you make.
Right.
So I really, I really appreciate you bringing that up because it just got me all pumped up and excited.
Man,
and I'm taking
I love
over
that
this interview.
experience. No, I love that experience that you had because that's that manifestation. So you're thinking about him, look, think about it this way. You're ever buying a car and say that you're buying like a Fiat. Okay. You never thought about a Fiat before, but you went, you liked it. You looked at one, you drove off the lot, you drove home. All of a sudden you're just like Fiats everywhere. You're just seeing them everywhere, right? Because you're like manifesting that. And so kind of the same thing for me with Tony Robbins. Once I started listening to him, he kind of just offered me that clarity that I needed, that it's like, hey, visualize what you want, massive action, progress, problems equal solutions, and those kind of teachings. And so I was really motivated by that. And so my business partner told me, hey, Karen, do you want to go to this Tony Robbins event?
Business Mastery.
He had already been to Business Mastery. So my business partner, I took on a business partner at Social Behavior 2 years ago because he went to a Business Mastery course, and him and I were talking. We're longtime friends, and I told him about kind of my challenges and my goals with social behavior. And he had just finished Business Mastery. So Tony Robbins tells you, if you want to grow your business and if you want to really be successful, you have to help other people. So we were just right there. I was just right there at the right time. Him and I are talking, and he was like, I'm betting on you. Like, I'm going all in with you. So I'm going to be your business partner. And I was like, oh, hold on. No, I don't know if I want a partner yet. Yeah. So we went through a lot of just working it out, and so we found a solution that worked for us. But he really believes in that Tony Robbins vision and in his teachings, and so he invited me to an event. Well, I had like a little back seat and he had a premium seat because he paid the extra to get front row. I'm gonna get a picture with Tony, all this stuff, and I'm like a peasant, in the back. I get the regular admission. So we go to this event in Austin, and Tony comes out, and I have never felt a force so strong, and I start, jumping up and down. I get into it.
I've never been to one. I really do want to go to one, but I've seen people that jump up and down, and
it's wild.
It's wild. And he pumps people up too.
Man, you just can't even think about like how stupid you look because you honestly.
So how many days was this thing for? Was it one day?
This was a 1 day thing, and he was only supposed to talk for 2 hours. And so he came on around 3 p.m. And I remember we didn't leave there until 9:30. He had us for 6.5 hours. And in those, they were life-changing 6 hours. But let me tell you, Sammy, I was like, I really love this guy, man. I've been just wanting to meet him forever. And so I don't know what possessed me, but all of a sudden I like get out of my little, back corner, and I just go up to the front and I start dancing, and he just comes right up to me and starts like shaking and dancing with me and like touching me. And that energy was like a light bulb going through my body. I felt like, listen, I'm done. I don't care who's betting against me. Tony Robbins touched me, so everybody can go home. Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's a great experience, So, and we're both getting, wired up over here talking about that. So yeah, it's awesome. Yeah. Karen, first of all, I want to thank you for sharing this with us, and thank you for everything else. If there's 3 things you'll share with people, your future generation, the world, anybody who knows you and don't know you, okay, what will it be?
Align your passion with purpose. Don't do things for money. You gotta do it for purpose. Okay. Everybody goes into business because they think about, make this, I'm gonna make this much. Yes, all of those are great. Money is a complementary to what I do. What makes me successful is that I turn my passion, I aligned it with my purpose, and I turned it into a business. So just that would be my number 1 rule.
All right. Align your passion with purpose. Number 2.
Yeah. Number 2, wake up every single day and give it your all. Like, you cannot be discouraged. You cannot take what happened yesterday into today. You got to wake up. It's a whole new day. And then the third thing would be to say no. Say no to whatever doesn't align with your passion and your purpose. I find myself saying no a lot more times than I say yes, because
it's okay to say no.
Yeah, it's okay to say no. I have to continuously say no all the time. Only do things that I want to do.
This was really good. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Those 3 things. It's okay to say no. Sometimes people don't know how to say no.
Yeah. So, I was doing a lot of shit that I didn't want to do for several years before.
Several years, drinking all the tequila.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hey, Karen, thank you so much for coming over here.
Thank you.
I know my audience is going to find great value in everything you had to share with us. So again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Make shit happen.